Stay a while and listen. This is Break Yo Bales coming to you from my sanctuary on the D2R Discord. On this episode, we are joined by Smalps, and we talk about the recently announced upcoming Diablo showcase. We then get into some speculation around what that might be and what to expect and what not to expect. And then we talk a little bit about the upcoming game Darkhaven from the original D2 devs. Enjoy. Oh yeah, and real quick, apologies for the audio glitching. We will get that fixed for the next episode. Today, we are joined by Uniquesash.
The order is given. Engage the silent drive. We sail into history.
All right, and Tyrael.
Hello, guys.
And special guest, Smalps.
Hello, everybody.
Nice and short. I love it. All right, so speculation episode. But before we get to the speculation, there are a couple things we'll call housekeeping to get to. We do now have a new Discord server. Updated link will be in the description of the video and all of our videos. But just wanted to stress that. So if you want to come hang out with us, you want to do it in the right place, just follow the link in the description of the video. And then secondly, I think it's worth talking about is the upcoming Diablo showcase. That's February 11th at 5 p.m. Eastern or 2 p.m. Pacific time. That is an official Blizzard Diablo showcase that's supposed to show and I guess lay out what the plans are for and maybe beyond. Who knows? So that's really exciting. One thing I will say about it is that I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's only going to be D4 stuff, but like really, if you look at it, it doesn't say Diablo 4. It says Diablo. And also in one of the interviews from, was it Gamescom, where the president of Blizzard did an interview with the folks from IGN. She did at stuff coming to the entire Diablo franchise for all the games. Maybe I am misinterpreting that. I hope I'm not. But it really did seem that way. So we shall see. You guys have any thoughts on Diablo Showcase?
I had the same instinct that you did, the interview with Johanna Faries, that we were going to see something across the whole universe. So I expect for the showcase, I expect to hear something about all the Diablo games, including D2R. I'm very excited about it.
Anyone else?
I'm excited for it for sure. Trying not to get hopes too high, but it's very difficult because we've been promised, some chaos and haven't really seen it. So I'm hoping this is the big reveal finally.
Yeah, and actually that's a good segue that leads us into kind of the speculation parts here. So a little while back, I had together a post on our Reddit. The title is "The February New Content Rumor is Starting to Look ... less crazy." And I kind of laid out the reasons why I feel the way I feel about updates coming to D2R. And the thing, I guess, we've talked about a bunch of these different things over several podcasts, but looking back, with the Diablo showcase in front of us and all these little signs in the past kind of stacking up, we're kind of at this point where we've seen a bunch of different things. There's been no information at all. Like literally no communication from Blizzard on what the plans are for D2R. So I guess I just wanted to kind of go through the list of things that have occurred and, I guess kind of try to paint a picture of this mosaic. And and bear with me, this is a little bit of a long list, but we'll get there. So first of Chaos, we've yet to unleash tweet from last year. The rumor from the China D2R China launch, they referenced new content in February with no additional detail. This latter season is running extraordinarily long at this point. In fact, they've had an announcement about an announcement about an announcement at this point, and they keep the monetization stash tabs exist in the client but aren't enabled. I mean, they do exist in a version that's currently monetization character slots and exist in the client but are not enabled. They added Steam libraries, so the Steam support exists in the client but also is not enabled. Mosaic nerf was discussed again in the D2R China Q&A, which there's, if you're interested in the whole Q&A session, we have a transcript of that on our Reddit as well. WASD movement still hasn't actually come back to the game. It was buggy and they took it out, and we've never heard anything about it since. Blizzard leadership, and we touched on this, but Blizzard leadership has said more coming to the Diablo franchise, not just D4. It's been roughly a year since those legacy Diablo roles were filled. If you remember, I don't remember what episode that was in, but we talked about it. It was, I also put up a Reddit post about that too. I keep a close eye on all these different things that are going on, and I periodically check the Blizzard hiring site, and that's when I noticed it, and then we did a Reddit post about it and we talked about it. So that's been well documented. But Blizzard ran a D2 focused Australia focus group last year. They've gone out of their way to improve handheld device support, which leads me to believe that, going back to the Steam thing, that was just all prep work for the Steam release. And then I guess the last thing in this list here is every time D2R gets an update, it jumps multiple, large jumps in version numbers, which strongly suggests on that isn't shipping. The thing that I don't have on this list is the fact that they did a 9-hour window for Diablo Classic. I know people don't think that it's related in any way, but I think it is. So that's what I have. What did you guys think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so with the post from last year about the chaos has yet to unleash kind of a thing, it was strongly suggested, or it felt like that meant new content. And then for the upcoming Diablo showcase, to just say we're talking about big changes to the Diablo franchise as a whole is also telling of not just things for D4, or else they would have just said here are some D4 updates. They're saying that all of Diablo franchise is getting some sort of news. And then the other thing that I saw before was Pez left, and I was that's kind of a big deal. He left as the community manager, but he also retweeted the February 1st Diablo showcase and said tune in, this is going to be big. So he's no longer with the company. He's saying this is going to be huge, make sure you tune in. So he's excited about it as well. So I think that's again, it definitely is brewing to feel more than just a D4 update.
Yeah, and I guess I would also say this is probably a grain of sand in the desert, but I did find it interesting that Cedarquist, the lead producer for, I don't know if it's all Diablo franchise or if it's just D2. But he's never made a post on the official Blizzard forums, and the fact that he was responding to stuff in there leads me to believe that if his eyes are off, then there's something brewing. Like, he wouldn't just be hanging out in the D2 forums unless there was a reason for him to be there.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Crude or Tyrael, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I expect that if we're going to see some new stuff, that we're going to see the stuff that was with the China release here now. Obviously, we've got the space in our stashes for more stashes. You know, we have that blank space looking at us and teasing us, and I just don't see them doing that and then doing nothing with it. So, very educated guess, if you will, that, you know, we'll find out on Thursday how we're going to get those stashes. Are they going to be monetized? Are they going to be given to us? Obviously, with the China launch, it was part of an overall package. I don't know what we'll see on our end. And one thing that I think a lot of D2 players here and Diablo players in general are sensitive to is paying for power. You know, we saw the backlash for Diablo Immortal. Diablo 4 had to, whether they ever had a thought about having any gear available for sale, they had to go straight, cosmetic, because the uproar for DI was so strong. I don't know that, it'll be the greatest business model to sell us, say, the same package they got in China with, Stone of Jordans and the runes.
That definitely,
that
I don't think that will happen. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm hard for that, but hard to see that. But I think we'll see the stashes, and I think we might see minor changes. And they may also do something where those other items are given as opposed to being paid for. So I don't know. And then I think we'll be very surprised to see some type of teaser for future content, and I think we may get that future content at BlizzCon in September. Hoping, anyway, for sure.
Yeah. As far as timeline is concerned, I'm thinking that the latter announcement's been delayed because they're going to announce after the showcase. We might get. Well, let me take that back. They might launch, or they might say that there's. I think they said there's an announcement this week, but the announcement will probably say, like, at the bottom, it might just sound like a regular ladder reset, but then at the bottom it might say, like, more details to come after the showcase kind of thing, and then they'll talk about stuff in the showcase to officially announce any of this new stuff that we're going to get immediately, but then also what the future looks like.
Right.
So, I think I hope we are. And the other thing I'll say is, in regard to the image, the screenshot that's been floating around, I don't know if that's true or not. But if it is true, that's incredibly crazy. I did see someone say somewhere, I don't remember where it was, but like the introduction of a new class is a huge deal for any game. They were planning on introducing this new class across all of their across all of the Diablo games. Like, they were gonna basically put a whole new class every class. So I don't know if there's any truth to that.
I heard it was
either.
Immortal, Diablo 4, and D2 are, but again, these are all
and from the picture, it looks like that class could be a warlock or something to that effect. Again, there's been no official word, but if the image is a doctored image or just like made up with AI, it's very convincing. So I don't know how true it is, but but that would be huge. I guess last thing I'll say is I didn't really want to talk about it, but it's like it's kind of leaking across all the different servers and stuff. So like I didn't at first, I was kind of reticent to discuss it, but it seems like I didn't want to be the one spreading rumors, but it seems like everyone has already kind of seen it, so I thought maybe we could at least mention it here. Everybody seems like they wanted to say something, so go ahead.
Tyrael, why don't you go?
So, this is more of a curiosity thing. Let's say, because it seems clear that we're getting the stash tabs. How we're getting them is the contentious part. If they decide to monetize in on this, what is your guys' limit? Because I don't think that I'd be willing to pay $10 for 2 more, but I think I'd be cool with 5.
Yeah. So me personally, I would be willing to pay 10. Like I would hold my nose while doing it. I'm probably not the average player. I'd throw a ton of money at it if necessary. I mean, I guess if it included additional stuff, having those additional stash tabs is awesome. And if there's an incentive for Blizzard to invest in the game through some minor microtransactions that don't affect the actual gameplay or that don't affect the balance power of the game, then I guess I'm okay with it. I guess quality of life and convenience factor type thing, I think are reasonable. As far as the price, I guess probably my threshold's $10, but what does that $10 get you? Does it get you the 2 stash tabs? Is it $10 for 1 stash tab? No idea what that looks like, but I'm sure there's a threshold that people will balk at. And then there will also be folks that no matter what the price is, even if it's $5 for 2 stash tabs or $1 per stat, like there are people that'll be like, no effing way.
Yeah, so say that whatever the price is, just because I kind of need the space and I'm into the game that much, but it just feels like if it was paid, there'd be some issues with it in the community. I feel like a lot of people would be very upset because they haven't had any sort of monetization in the game, and then all of a sudden they're going to do it. I understand that they have to like make money somehow, but again, and this goes back to our earlier point, we're all thinking that like Blizzard, like we don't hear anything, they haven't done anything, but then they come out with a brand new version of the game for China, and it's like they are working on stuff, they are doing stuff, they're just not great at telling us, probably because they don't want to or they can't. But I think the stash tab thing, it seems like an easy enough win to just give that to the community, because again, it's only two stash tabs, and like if like I pay for it and somebody else doesn't, like it is sort of pay to win, because it's like I have extra space that other players do not. So it's like there is some sort of a little advantage there that I might have by paying for it. So I think like the EU having laws against microtransactions, only update, say this latter reset, was extra stash tabs and extra character slots or whatever. I feel like it'd be a huge win to just give that for free. So 2 extra stash tabs and like, I don't know, 5 character slots or whatever, other than paying for it. Because again, introducing this into Diablo's community, a lot of people are going to flip out on it.
Yeah, I agree. Like here's the thing. No matter what Blizzard does, it'll be controversial. It always is. No matter what, there's people love it, there's people that hate it, there's people that okay that, and everything in between. So at the very least, I hope we get the stash tabs. I hope we get the Mosaic nerf. And I guess I would just say about the Mosaic nerf, I would like it. I don't know. I would like it if they still left the charges and like the requirements for the charges in place, because it does speed up the game. It's a class that it's fun in the fact that it forces you to keep moving, but I think really they need to tone down the damage by maybe up to 50%, so that it's in line with the other S tier builds from other classes. I still think that, I know depending on where you go, there's a ton of people that are just like, take it out of the game. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've done polls about it as well. I'm like, it's split 50-50. Like, there are people that do like it and like the playstyle and like Mosaic. Obviously, it's the top ladder class. You know, like the winner is usually a Mosaic assassin because it's easier and you can, blast through the game. And then there's a whole bunch of people that just hate it and like can't deal with the screen being so bright and all this stuff. So it's like, it is very split 50-50. And again, it's like when they tried to nerf Hammerden, like if you nerf it, people are going to be upset. If you leave it in, people are still upset. So it's like, I don't know what the win do. Assassin went from being a class that like most people never played. It was like one of the least played class to like now the top. And I think that that's kind of cool because they brought it to sort of the forefront. Again, people were just mad that I think that it like jumped all the way top.
Right.
And not just like S tier or A tier. It's like now God tier almost.
It's like, it's like triple S tier.
Yeah.
And the one thing I will say is that I kind of like using the Mosaic Assassin for cows, because there's all those chests and you don't need keys.
Yeah, it is nice.
Like, it just makes it so much easier.
How many of those people that are mad do you think would be okay if they, in settings, offered like a Mosaic dark mode, where instead of like that lightning lighting up everything, it was like a black lightning bolt instead?
I think that's like, I think the light is one issue. Like some people find it too bright, and obviously it like melts people's graphics cards and stuff. But I think also just having the Mosaic so dominant in a game also takes away from some of the fun that people get in a party. Like a solo build is totally fine because you're the only one there. But if you're like running a chaos game or a cow game with the Mosaic, you're running around and just trying to even get to do anything. Yeah.
Right.
I think that's
it definitely ruins. It definitely ruins public games. Like when in situations where, like I'd be running, like public chaos runs or bail runs or whatever, cows with a different character, like a Mosaic Assassin shows up and basically just clears the whole thing in two, and like nobody was able to keep up. I personally like to kind of play not at a super fast pace, but not slow either, like Crude. I like to kind of like take my time. And a lot of playing, I'm just kind of like coming home from work. I come home from work, I have dinner, and then I want to zone out for a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't want to like have the adrenaline rush of like go, but I want to be able to just kind of like turn my brain off and do some runs. So yeah, I think a nerf is coming. I think it should be potentially up to 50%. I don't know what that number is, but I think the way to get there is they can reduce either the synergies of the build from the skill tree, or they could reduce the percentage damages that they have on it. I don't know if that alone will get it there. But that's what PTR is for, or at least hopefully they've done some testing internally to determine that. And as far as it's concerned, much easier for them to just tone it down a little bit so that it doesn't cover like thirds of the screen. I feel like that would be easier to adjust than to put in an option to like toggle stuff on and off.
They could change. It's not normal. The animation.
Right. It's not normal to put a toggle in a game, especially D2, that's specific to one class. I just don't see it happening.
There are mods, like people
That's
have
fair.
mods in the game that reduce the animations of the chain lightning thing, and it just looks like a bunch of knives. So it does reduce it a lot so that it's less bright and less invasive, but it's still doing the same amount of damage. And yeah, I feel like you could nerf the damage, just tone it down a little bit to make it sort of in line. But it's the play style is still something that needs to be looked at. Like, I think the uptime of charges percent is the reason why the build is playable. If it was 50%, I don't think people would play it. Because again, half the time your charges drop and then you have to recharge. Like the play style of having the uptime always on is great. I think the timer being 15 seconds is a little short, so it makes you feel like you have to rush.
Yeah, I feel like it should be like 20
Longer.
seconds, because that'll give you enough time to kill Diablo, right? And I think there's some trick.
There is way, yeah, you can use Mind Blast.
Yeah.
But again, like I feel like because the timer is so short, that's why you feel like you have to rush. So like whenever you're in a game with a Mosaic, they get their charges up and then they're like, all right, see you guys later, and then just blitz because they have to. But if the timer was like, again, doubled, in my opinion, like 30 seconds, then you wouldn't have that you wouldn't feel that need, and like that Mosaic wouldn't have to rush, like front run everything, and could just kind of like casually hang out behind, maybe pick up some loot, and then pick up like it would make the online play, I think, a little bit nicer if that timer was longer. But again, I feel like they have to be sensitive about reworking the whole thing, because there's good things and there's things a bit but
yeah, I agree. So essentially increase the time, reduce the damage. I feel like that would be chef's kiss. Like, all right, done.
Yeah.
But I think the way to do that is you could even theoretically make the uptime permanent once you activate it. However, you could then do a thing where only when it's activated, where the overall damage is nerfed. But so there's a trade-off. You don't have to touch anything. You can just go and just keep your finger on the left click and just go bananas for as long as you can, whatever. But you're losing some of the damage. So you're not one-shotting Ubers. Maybe you have to make some concessions there, but I think that's the way it solves the problem, because Smalps said exactly what I thought, and I said this back in one of our podcasts. You can't lower the percentage chance because it's going to be unplayable. Exactly what you said. It's 100%. So, but with the damage being so high, timer being quick, I like what you said. I mean, hell, make it a minute. Make it a minute long. I mean, maybe permanent is crazy, but make it a minute long. And like you said, you have time to stop. You have time to get loot. You're still running. That's a long time. 1 minute. Like you said, you could easily kill Diablo with that. You could probably kill Bale in a minute too. Yeah. Without having to recharge.
A minute.
But even if you
try 3 seconds. Oh, you're talking about like a Bale run?
Like going in and killing Bale.
Oh yeah, it's like 3 to 5 seconds.
But even like you said with the waves, having a longer period means you don't have to do any game gimmicks to try and reset your stacks.
Yeah.
Like when we're waiting for the Hydras to escape. So I could see something like that. Like once the buff is active, lowers your damage by 20 or 30%. And the reason why you want to do it that way, as opposed to going in and changing each of the skills, is because what if somebody just wants to be a non-Mosaic, lightning martial artist or a frozen martial artist? You still want to; those people still need to have the full power of the skills. So the trade-off Mosaic, you never have to, stop your finishers, but now you're going to damage, or maybe a lot of less damage, whatever they come up with, and then, like you said, test it and tweak it. And once you have that set up, then it's just a matter of twisting the dial to find the sweet spot for the damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the play style is new, but it also works. That's why it's playable.
It's a lot of fun.
So
yeah,
you can't not have that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So any other speculation stuff? I mean, I think we touched on the new class thing, but I guess the implications of that are I guess I can't even comprehend what the implications of that would be right now. But I guess all I can say is all we can do is watch the showcase and hope.
Yes. And I do want to throw out a, let's say, putting an onion in the punch bowl to make the meta a little more family friendly. There is a thought that crossed my mind when we were talking about the image, and I started thinking about it, and I'm hoping that image is not lifted from a folder that's titled AFP, as in April Fool's Pranks. And the reason I bring it up is I want to say it was World of Warcraft that, they've done April Fool's stuff every year for almost 20 years now for WoW.
But it's February.
And true, but I don't know how elaborate they are in their planning. One of the April Fools for WoW one year was introducing a new class called the Bard, and he sat there with a book and and played music, and it was like a cutesy little thing, and obviously it was a joke, but they introduced a Pandaren as a playing class as an April Fool's joke, but then they actually, in Mr. Pandaren, they actually made real Pandaren for real, which nobody plays because he's fat, which but I took him as my spirit animal because I like him like that, but that's okay. I just crossed my mind, what if that image just happened to be in somebody's folder, they're prepping it for an April Fool's prank to say, oh, the new class. And the only reason that really stuck in my head was the way the image looked. It looked a little just a shade bright in my, and so I could be just clutching at straws. I could be totally reaching. I hope it isn't. I mean, I want to, and I wonder what the calculus was for how they decided what the new class would be and how it would work. Did they sit down and go, well, we've got this many, let's say more or less pure casters or ranged, and we have this many mostly melee. I mean, the Barbarian is really the only true constant melee class. I mean, unless you wanted to count Warcry, but you still got to get pretty close. Paladins can technically range with hammers, although I don't know if you'd consider them ranged for that. What would you say? You're a big hammer fan, Break. What's your take on that? Do you consider them ranged or melee with that?
Ranged.
Okay. So Paladin has a ranged. Every other class, Sorceress is really ranged. I mean, you can, meme it up and go, melee Sork, but, really a Sork is a ranged class, and it's supposed to be. Necro is really supposed to be all, ranged, except the poison dagger classes, which is you got to get up close and hit them. But that's kind of a meme spec right now, unless they do a mosaic on poison necros. And everything else is kind of, you could kind of pick and choose. So I'm just curious what the calculus was to say class. Why did they go in that direction and not add in, say, another melee? To me, it felt like the game was needing more melee and improvements to melee. Hello, Barbarian, AoE, if you're listening, Blizzard, and you should be. So that's where I'm curious. If we do have a new class, I would really love to get in the nitty gritty and find out what that thought process was. I'm really interested in hearing that.
Yeah.
And
I real quick, I just want to revise my answer on the paladin. I think it's both. I think it's both ranged and melee, only because like the meta for how you actually play it, once you have teleport, is you like telestomp onto characters. So you're in melee
that's true,
range.
yeah. Right.
But you're killing stuff directly in front of you, but also around you. So it's kind of a hybrid.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, and the other thing we were looking at with, if there is going to be a new class, we can get really excited and make the suggestion that we're going to get new content as well. Historically, a new class for Diablo and WoW has meant some type of new content. I can't speak to Overwatch. I don't know if that game, because I know they've entered a lot of different, they've added a lot of classes over the years. I don't know if that game adds in any type of content. It's mostly PvP, so maybe it's not the same comparison. But in every instance, when WoW introduces a new class, there's content for that class. For Diablo, we saw it with the D3 Necromancer and the D3 Crusader. For D4, we saw it with the Spiritborn rather. And I'm assuming, I haven't played it yet, but I'm assuming for the D4 Paladin, there had to be some type of storyline that they added to it. Smalps, maybe you've played it. Could you speak to that?
Which game?
D4 Paladin?
You don't play D4, do you?
I did not. No, I did not play the D4.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fair assumption that, when you start that character, there's going to be some added level, even if it's just introductory content. So, that excited me because, with D2, when we introduced the Druid and Assassin, it was with an expansion. So, to me, it's natural new class. Maybe we'll see a new area, and if it's like a wizard, if it's a range kind of character, a spellcaster, then that new content might probably something along the lines of, who knows, maybe we're going to find out that there's more layers to the Arcane Sanctuary. That's everybody.
I do like the Arcane Sanctuary.
On certain classes.
just to level set though. That picture could be a fake. Right?
Yes, it could. It could be a fake.
I don't think it's an April Fool's joke, because number one, like, who would have released that? Like, if Blizzard was doing, if Blizzard was releasing that, they wouldn't just they would just say, all right, new class, like, haha. And also, it's February. Like, that's not either really damn fake, or it's legit and it's been leaked. We won't.
I mean,
know until next week.
The showcase. Yeah. Well, maybe. I do feel like the breadcrumbs are like sort of like, again, sort of adding up. Everything is just like leaking and sort of adding up. So, going back to that original post, like the KSU to Unleash, we think that is new content. And then for a new class link or leak is another sign of like, well, if there's going to be a new class, then there's got to be new content. So it's like, it feels like everything is sort of just like little by little sort of adding up. And then, again, we're all just speculating and hoping here, but it just, all the other franchises or all the other games in Diablo, they like adding new classes. Like, that's been, I feel like, the thing for the past 6 months here is the theme. Like, here's a new paladin, there's a new this. Like, it just feels like that's like the trend that inner Diablo or inner Blizzard is working on.
I'm actually a little bit more on the negative side with that picture. My first reason being is that the colors don't seem to fit. Like, I don't know if it's like the tone or what it is. I didn't think that it looked like it fit terribly well with the, I guess, ambiance or the background for Diablo.
The art style.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the same. And in my honest opinion, the second I saw it, my first thought was, why is Gale from Baldur's Gate 3 in Diablo?
Yeah.
I'll
That's
counter
a fair
that with
point.
that is a fair point, but I'll counter it with this. That may not be the static screenshot. That might be a screenshot of the action, because if you hover over each character in the screen, they all do a little thing. Like the sorceress comes out and she arcs lightning from the barbarian, with the ho, so everybody does their own little thing. So that might be a capture of that guy. He steps forward and flourishes the book or something. So that might be that.
Mhm.
But I think
I can concede that point.
Yeah, but Tyrael, I think you spoke to what I was saying, that the color seemed a little off, a little different, and I thought maybe, that was kind of leading towards being a fake. I'll tell you though, if it is a fake, the watermark, chef's kiss, nice touch.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anybody can add an X on an image, but yeah, like it just feels
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah, I don't mean like
you wanna
from
believe.
a creative standpoint, just from a thinking through it. Like, okay, if I want to make this look like Blizzard put it out, let me put the X on it. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah,
Well, to be clear, that it was leaked, not that Blizzard put it out.
That it was leaked, right? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you
The
remember your point
implications
break?
of the no. The implications of that of a new class are huge. I guess we'll find out more here in a couple weeks. As we've called the episode, all we can do right now is speculate. So let's take a quick break, and when we return, we will continue the conversation. This episode is brought to you by our D2R Discord and subreddit. Come join our community of over 100,000 combined members. Ask questions, interact with other players, get real-time updates on Diablo Clone and Terror Zones, join voice channels and kill hordes together, enter our giveaways, or just hang out and chat. If you love D2R as much as we do, be sure to check it out. Links in the description. All right, and we are back. Crude, maybe we move on to the discussion about Darkhaven?
Sure. For those of you, I should say, who don't know what Darkhaven is the brainchild of some of the original Diablo 2 creators, Diablo 1 and 2 creators. I believe it's the Breviks and the Phil Shank,
The Shafes are
if I'm
also
not
involved.
mistaken, who are leading the charge. Their company, Moonbeast Gaming, I think, yeah, right. I think the Schaefers are as well. Started this game. They are crowdfunding it. They've released a pre-alpha trailer. It does look pretty good. I showed it to a couple of friends, and their opinion was that it was very similar to D3 and D4 in style. I would think closer to D4. It's got a little bit more than D3 would have, in my opinion. Nothing at all yet, in my opinion, that would suggest, I'm not going to take a leap and say this is going to be the greatest game or it's going to be awful. I don't know. It's just the trailer is kind of decent. They didn't show off any huge, boss scenes or anything like that. Just, regular, your kind of random generic gameplay. I think it speaks to our experience here at D2, because I'm wondering if the groundswell of support for that game, maybe pushed Blizzard to say, hey, maybe we need to look at D2R and, work stuff into that. Is that an avenue that we can go? I don't know how they look at it. I don't know if they look at them as competition, or, I don't know how Moonbeast is approaching their concept from, are they looking at, targeting, people who play D2R, people who play ARPGs in general. I would think they're going to try to appeal to a broad audience and say, who are the big players out there? Obviously, Diablo, Path of Exile. You had a couple others. So, I think you shoot your shot and you go for a broad spectrum. So I don't think that, those guys are specifically saying, hey, we have to reach the D2 audience. But at the same time, I feel like, they're leaning into that D2, D1 vibe of, hey, this is who we are. So yeah, I think it's going to show up.
It will be in direct competition with D2R.
But will it also be in direct competition with D4,
Yes.
which is the current Blizzard flagship?
It's in competition.
And I guess
for
right.
the crown of like ARPGs. I just kind of feel like if it really hits, if they do a really good job, which I've seen the trailer, I've seen the like early beta and alpha tests that they've been doing. I periodically get updates from their Discord server, and like it does look pretty interesting. I'll say that. People can go and watch this stuff for themselves, but just like it does look very interesting, and that's one of the reasons why I think Blizzard really needs to up their game on the whole D2R front. And that might be one of the reasons why they're potentially doing a push, because they might have some stiff competition here soon.
Yes.
Yeah, I do think that with that trailer, it did look really cool, and I think that they were really leaning into the D1, D2 former devs kind of a thing on purpose. I will say that having played a little bit of D4, very little of D3, I'm more interested in testing and playing Darkhaven than I would ever be for a Diablo 5.
Yeah, they need to get that franchise right. and get some goodwill from the hardcore D2 folks. And I guess the last
oh,
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, D3 has its own audience, D4 has its own audience. Like, I'm fine with just continuing to play D2R. Like, nothing's much is gonna change there. Like, if they keep adding stuff, if they don't, like, I'll still play. But it's like every time they try to make something new that's sort of like D2, I'm like, why don't I just play D2?
It is the best game, and that's why we all play it, and that's why we have this podcast and a Discord and a Reddit. Like, there's a reason. It's because it's so freaking good. The last thing I wanted to say, and I wanted to say it earlier, and I forgot, but major thing that I see a lot is one of the reasons why people say they're not going to do anything for D2R, that the game's done in maintenance mode and stuff, and I just think D2R isn't done. It's a totally different game. D2R is not D2. Like, they're not going to just stop development on it, and they haven't. They released D2R for China. They had to do a huge amount of work to get that version.
Oh yeah, they had to change all
the
art,
the audio, not just the art, in the entire game. So the argument that that D2R is done, I think, is false, and it's not D2. People can still go play D2, right? D2R is its
those servers.
D2R is its own game. Like, they very well could come back, and seems like they will come back and do more with it. It's not a hands-off situation.
I hope so.
Yeah. So
that's what we've been hoping for since I came back to playing D2 and joining the Discord, and then we started the podcast. That's been like the dream to me, is the hope that we're going to get something new. And for me, I would have been happy with just small minor updates every ladder. Hey, here's a new rune word, or hey, we took some of these old uniques that nobody was using, we dusted them off, and we threw on some really nice stats and skills. So when you go find these things, you're not just going to go chuck them to Charcy or click off your Grail. You're going to be like, hey, now I want it. it does something for me that it hadn't done before,
Mhm.
And that's the thing I'd like to see on a small, each ladder, each successive ladder, that we get some kind of little, maybe it's even a little along the lines of like the 22 Nights of Terror, where there's some type of event every ladder that gives you a reason to come in and go, okay, now I want to play ladder. I want to do it beyond just the fresh economy and
Mhm.
everything else. I want to get in on this ladder because I want to get that content.
Yeah. Agreed.
I have sort of a counter to that. So like, I do. So, and Chris Wilson had this on like one of his. I think he did an interview with Llama, but when they made like PoE, the whole premise of the game was that there's going to be updates every ladders. And D8 has never been like that, where it's like there's always something new every single ladder. And I think that sometimes that's a good thing, because it allows people to make a new build or try something new instead of being forced into like that seasonal mechanic thing. So yeah, we've had several seasons of no updates, which people are like, oh, here, just another ladder reset. But it's like, okay, well, now you can roll a Fury Druid or a Barb, or I'm going to play a Mosaic Assassin, or I'm going to try a Trap Assassin, and nothing's changed. So you don't have to like relearn anything, or there's no crazy
true.
new mechanic. So I do think that there's positive and negatives to both
Yeah.
of like
There's
those
stability.
things. Like, yeah, we kind of need a little something, but for the most part, kind of stays the same. And I think that that's a reason why some people do come back. They're like, oh, I'm going to come back and play, because it's not like I have to relearn the game.
There's a kernel of truth in that. The fact that there's consistency, I think that also appeals to folks. It's not constant churn of new gimmicky. So there is a delicate. I don't know that I necessarily want. I don't know that I necessarily want or need new stuff every ladder, or like events every ladder, but I guess two new rune words every ladder, like that would be okay. Or like tweaking some of the uniques that desperately have needed it for a long time. And we've talked about that kind of stuff like ad nauseum at this point. But something, a couple small things, I guess I would say, but not like drastic meta changes, right? Like that's not what people want, and people don't want. At least like most D2 players, they again like the consistency of the game, and like you said, Smalps, like you can make another character, you could do a Grail, like there's an amazing amount of different aspects and ways that you can approach how you play. So the beauty of it, is it's up to you.
Yeah, I think most people, when they start a ladder, I would say the majority of people probably do like one class, right? So they pick a class, and then that's the whole talk in between ladders is like, oh, what are you going to roll this ladder, right? So it's like you choose one ladder and you're like, yeah, I'm going to roll a Sork, or make a Fire Sork or something. And then the next one, you're like, yeah, I'm going to try something else. And I think like that's like kind of what people like about it is like on that ladder reset night, everybody decides like, yeah, I'm going to roll this, I'm going to roll this. And it's familiar territory, right? You're like, I know some about the game. It's not like new. And then you get to just like, here's my new character, I'm going to roll this. So I think that that's sort of the exciting part about ladder changes, is just a chance to roll, or an excuse to roll a different class or another character.
And I'll modify. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
no, go ahead. Here.
I think Diablo 2 Resurrected, I think that the developers came about as close to perfection as you can get as in terms of replayability. And I think that's why this game has had the staying power that it has, because it feels nearly infinite way.
Yeah, and you don't have
Yeah.
all the weird like what is it in D4? There's all those like little things where you have to like sit and wait for people to talk, and you have to like wait for them to walk over here, and like all those little stupid like little quests and things. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me. It locks you into a certain way to play.
Typically, that's kind of thing you'd have in like the beginning of like the campaign, and then normally, with some of the quests that you can you do that, but a lot of the game is really just it's just a go out and just murder everything.
Yeah, but a lot of that,
and I do want to modify.
Just feels like filler, though. It's just like you're wasting people's time.
Right.
There's none of that in D2R.
No. Yeah, D2R is kind of like standalone in that kind of thing. It's really about the gameplay. The quests are very minimal, and they're not mostly look at how many of the quests are really just bring the story along, and you're really not engaging. How many different NPCs do you engage with outside of the cities? Like 4. Like there's Anya, you free Kane, there's Anya, maybe 1 or 2 others, but there's very little that you'll encounter in the wild. Almost everything you encounter in the wild you have to kill.
Yeah.
So there's no time for a conversation. I did want to modify. When I talk about like new stuff for the ladders, I agree with what you and Smalps both said, and Tyrael. We don't need major meta driven. Okay, we're adding this whole new way to play, that kind of thing. I was thinking more along the lines of like, hey, certain bosses might drop better loot, that kind of thing, or like I said, an enhancement to a rune word or a unique. Without a bash D4, I don't want to like criticize it too heavily, but I just think that one of the things that sets it so in such drastic relief to D2 is that D4 is constantly morphing. Every season it changes. Every single without fail. When I see a blurb on Blue Sky or on my Diablo sites, it's always along the same lines of all new changes coming. Look at the way the game has changed, and it's like constant change is not always a good thing. And I think the feedback loop is constantly evolving as well, and you can go back to the opening D4 that I like when you played when it first launched, and look at the game now, and even though there are some things that are similar, it is so different, completely changed.
Yeah,
and I think that's part of what makes people hesitant to jump in, is because it seems a little intimidating. Like once I was past D4 like season 1 or season 2, I was like, I'm too far gone now. I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore, so I just dropped it. So like I think that's part of it too for people, is like, do you want to relearn things every single season? You're forced to play every season to keep up with the mechanics, and if you miss one, then you're like out of that loop and you're like never coming back. Whereas D2 or D2R, like if you miss a season, it's not a big deal, and you can just come back in the next season, and it's like feels familiar.
It's an old friend.
Fine. So
it's like seeing an old friend, and there's definitely something to be said for that. Well, guys,
agreed.
I think that does it. You guys have anything else? Last words before we depart here?
I have one. I think that a super simple fix they could do would be to make it so that Cow King can drop his set. That would be superb.
Bugged as hell. Good point. Also, one last thing. I want to give us a shout out to Mr. Llama SC for supporting us recently. That was awesome. Dude's a legend, and I really appreciate it. So with that, we're going to sign off. But we will be back. Our next episode, I know that we promised that our next episode was going to be something very special. This one, of course, is special, but the next episode, you'll want to make sure you tune in for that one. We had originally said the next episode was going to have a special guest. We will still do that, but we thought it was important to make sure that we cover some of the speculation stuff now before the reveal, and we will be back with the next episode, which again will be very cool. So with that, I want to thank our hosts and our guest for joining us today. Uniquesash, Tyrael, Smalps. It's been fun, and we will talk to you soon. Your presence honors us, and if you enjoy our content, please consider joining our community on Reddit and Discord. And as always, farewell until next time.